Okie dokie. And there we should be up and running on YouTube. Okie dokie. Here we go. All right. So good morning, everybody. We are, as I was saying, we had just finished the Special Principles of Miracle Workers, and we're moving into a section called Fear and Conflict. And I'm not sure if we read very much of this last week. Maybe Iris will be able to remind us of that.
Good morning, Lynn.
Hi,
Good
sweetheart.
morning, all. Yeah, we're at fear and conflict, and we kind of began the first paragraph. So I don't know if we want to redo that or go on to two or.
We'll redo one.
Okay.
So let's start by, if you wouldn't mind praying us in, Iris.
Yes. I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent Him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because He who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever He wishes, knowing He goes there with me. I will be healed as I let Him teach me to heal. Amen.
Thank you, Iris. Good morning, everybody. So grateful to see you all here. And we will go to our reading. And there we are. Chapter 2, Section 6, Fear and Conflict. So who would like to read paragraph 1? Please put up your hand if you want to read.
I'll take it.
Great. Good morning, Rafi.
Morning.
Good to see you, my brother.
Being afraid seems to be involuntary, something beyond your own control. Yet I have said already that only constructive acts should be involuntary. I have said already that only constructive acts should be involuntary. I love that. My control can take over everything that does not matter, while my guidance can direct everything that does, if you so choose. Fear cannot be controlled by me, but it can be self-controlled. Fear prevents me from giving you my control. The presence of fear prevents me from giving you my control. The presence of fear shows that you have raised body thoughts to the level of the mind. This removes them from my control and makes you feel personally responsible for them. This is an obvious confusion of levels. Something about this that I'm missing. Because fear is only a feeling. And we can be in control of our feelings if we so choose. Because that's the power of discrimination. It's the highest mind power we have. Huh.
So what is Jesus saying here? Because he is saying that we can control fear ourselves. He says fear cannot be controlled by me, but it can be self-controlled.
Right.
But when we're in fear, we can't allow Jesus to be in control, because we think that we have to be protective of ourselves. The presence of fear shows that you have raised the body thoughts to the level of the mind. And when we do that, we think we have to protect ourselves. Then we can't allow the Holy Spirit to be in control. We think that we have to be personally responsible for our fears. And he says, you don't. You just have to let me run the show. And if you let me run the show, I will, what he says, being afraid seems to be involuntary, beyond your own control. Yet I have said already that only constructive acts should be involuntary. My control can take over everything that does not matter. And what does he mean by everything that does not matter? What actually matters?
This entire dream doesn't matter unless you make it matter, or
Yep.
you take the lessons from it that it's giving.
So he can control everything in the dream, which means that what that means that we don't have to try to control anything. We just have to let him be in control. So, and if we let him be in control, then we don't have to be afraid of anything. That's kind of like today's lesson, isn't it? Mickey, please go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say that, yeah, it's a total trust. So it's total trust to me. That's what it's really talking about.
Yeah, I think that that when we think we can control fear with our own minds, actually a lot of times we go into denial and try to deny the fear. But the reality is that really all we have to do is accept that we're feeling fearful and turn the outcome over to the Holy Spirit. Because the fearfulness comes from our desire uh, to control the outcome. And if I'm trying to control the outcome of something, then I'm definitely going to be in fear because I don't know. I'm completely ignorant of the operation of the universe. So let's see. We got Mickey. Do you still have your hand up, or is this a new time?
No, sorry. Let me
Okay,
finish.
that's okay. Don't be sorry. You're fine. Dove has his hand up. Go ahead, Dove. Then Rafi, then Iris. So go ahead, Dove.
All right. Yeah, I just came across this poster that I posted in the chat. I don't know if people can read it, but I'll just read it. It says, while truth is simple, it still must be taught to those who have already lost their way to endless mazes of complexity. And then goes on to say, this is the great illusion. In its wake comes the inevitable belief that to be safe, one must control the unknown. And what comes to me, you're right. It literally speaks to the same thing as today's lesson 160. It says that we are the love of God. That's our strength. But if we feel weak, and you can only feel weak if you feel separate, alone, different, and yeah, and of course you're feeling guilty, and guilt makes you feel weak, and then you have to control your environment because well, you don't want to go where you can be hurt because you think that you can be hurt, and well, you can be hurt if you identify yourself with a body, which love is not a body. So it really goes back to source. Source is love. I am love. But when we forget who we are by literally denying the truth, and that's the whole thing. We have denied the truth, and you keep going back to that chapter 21, section 7. The last unanswered question is, do you want to see what you denied because you denied the truth? And in the very first sentence, he tells you that all your suffering comes from your strange belief that you are weak, powerless. So only the weak and powerless would want to control anything because nothing, love doesn't have to be controlled, period. That's it.
Thank you, Dove. Yeah, it is trying to control something that we are completely ignorant of. Oh my gosh, how could you? God has to be in control. I mean, seriously, otherwise we are really screwed, or where we think we are in a world of fear. Rafi, please go ahead.
Yeah, the main problem with fear is that you don't like it. As soon as it comes up, nobody likes to feel afraid. So they bury the fear or they distract themselves from it or they do something to rationalize. And that's all ego mind stuff. Only ego mind does that. The divine power of being, love, God doesn't do that. And I mean, you fail to see that since everything's here is working for our ultimate good anyway, that fear is too. And the reason it came up was to leave. If you fight with it, it's just going to go back down and keep regurgitating it over and over and over and over and over again. But if you let it come up and let it go, then it served the purpose that it came to do. You let that go, your mind gets quieter, you're more in touch with the truth of yours. So it's a point of acceptance. And if you're in acceptance of what's going on, then there is the harmony, and it's easy to deal with. And not me, but the Father that worketh through me. Thy will be done. Thy will be done is to be in acceptance and peace, and see that it's here for us, and stop trying to fight with it or deny it. And once you do that, you can let it go. And there's the peace, there's the happiness, there's the truth of what we are. It's quite accessible because it is what we are. And you're back right where you're supposed to be, where you have been for eternity and will be.
Thank you, Rafi. I love that. And yeah, I mean, it's our natural state to be in joy. So, wherever that fear came from, it's not it can't stay. It comes to go. Iris, please go ahead.
Thank you, Lynn. I just really loved what everyone shared. And yeah, like when the fear comes up, it's really like it's very tricky. That's the word, tricky. And I just think that it's just something that we just have to work through slowly. Like because I had a situation at work that was very, very frightening, very, very frightening, like about this project and how it's supposed to go, etc. And there was like so much fear, so much fear. And like a combination of things helped in the end, like reading lesson 47 helps a lot. I love lesson 47. God is the strength in which I trust. And then these thoughts do not mean anything, lesson 4. And then doing like the release technique, like letting the feeling go completely. Like it comes down to two things. It's like two things, like control, like the illusion of control. Like anything is in our control, and to let that go. Control, approval, safety, letting go of safety, like security, like feeling safe, wanting to feel safe, letting go of the wanting to be safe, like just feeling into that feeling and not running away, and just feeling into that. And then like just repeating it, and repeating those things, those three things, like lesson 47, lesson 4, and then releasing, however we release, like letting go. Because we feel fear because we believe like everything, this world is real. We believe that we are real. And but somehow like it's just I don't really understand why this is like this. And it really helped because in the end, at the end of the project, it was just like there was nothing to fear. And, like in the lesson 48, it says there's nothing to fear. This is a fact, but I don't know that because I'm having illusions. And I just find out from my team that, everything is really just fine. And really, there's nothing to fear. And I've been in fear about this project for ages. And all of a sudden, I find out there is nothing to fear. And but we don't know this. You see, I didn't know this. But I think I think it's just something that we have to go through in this purification or whatever. Like maybe it's just something we have to clean up, like the fear. And it will come in different guises. And yeah, but those three things worked for me. And I'll hand back to Lynn.
Well, thank you so much, Iris. And I love to see how it's in your life and you can see it. And that's what's so beautiful about this course is once you get the notion, the idea of it, and then you start seeing how it actually is happening in the world that you live in, it reaffirms to you the truth of what it is that we're experiencing here. That this is really a helpful thing. Karen, please go ahead.
Thanks, everyone. I love everyone's input here. And so I was thinking about what Dove was saying about weak and powerless. And I was also thinking about the word frail, that the Course talks about frail. When I think of weak and powerless, I think of frail. And that's a belief. And the cause of fear is not outside of my mind. The cause of fear is a decision that I'm making, and I can choose to change my mind about it. And I love the release technique that Rafi and Iris are talking about, because we look at it first and then we release it, and we see that it has nothing to do with anything outside of us. I was at the grocery store this morning, and I have an OTC card, which is a over-the-counter benefit for vitamins and stuff like that. And I had a big order today. I did a lot of groceries and then a lot of vitamins and stuff. And half of my vitamins weren't covered on the OTC, which is very unusual. So I knew it was not my card. I knew it had to do with the store's policy, which I didn't know about. So my first reaction was to get angry. I was like, what? I said, this never happened before. I said, it always gets covered in the drugstores or anywhere else. And then they had to call the manager over, and I noticed myself getting upset inside, and then I looked at it and I said to myself, you know what? This is, first of all, it has nothing to do, in my mind, I'm saying this has nothing to do with the store. It has nothing to do with the vitamins. It has nothing to do with anything except for the decision I'm making right now to be upset. So fear is another form of upset. I am never upset for the reason I think. I am upset because I'm deciding. So I chose again, and I just, they said, listen, they said, this is our policy. Here's the receipt. Just call your benefits and, see what they can do for you. And that was perfect. And everything was fine. And so it's just always a decision. And I just have to notice when I'm allowing something outside of myself to upset me, because that's the level confusion. The level confusion is when I actually believe that the cause of fear is outside of my mind, and it never is. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Karen. And yeah, it's so crazy once you see, you can look back in the past where you've been a maniac over something now that you're looking at going, well, that's no big deal. Or you see other people who are being maniacs over these things, and you see, oh my gosh, this upset is really unnecessary, and I think it's so helpful and to just look at your own self and recognize, I made much ado about nothing on way too many occasions, and now when I even start to think about making a do about nothing, I'm like, oh my gosh, there it is again. I just have to stop and look. There it is again. I thought it was gone, but nope, still here, just lurking in a different form, different way. But I'm grateful that they come up, because if they didn't come up, I wouldn't notice, and I would think that, oh, I'm so far ahead of where I really think I am. Anyway, Mickey, please go ahead.
Oh yes, thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Rafi. Thank you, Iris. And I really like Rafi's technique too on the releasing technique. I also feel, it's a form of control, because if you read it here, it says, fear prevents me from giving you my control. The presence of fear shows that you have raised body thoughts to the level of the mind. This removes them from my control and makes you feel personally responsible for them. This is an obvious confusion of levels, which is what Karen just talked about. So, fear comes in when we're not trusting that, God is in control. And I really like what my youngest son says. My 22-year-old says a lot of times with his friends, he'll say, I got you, bro. And so I like to use kind of that term in my own mind as saying, God's got my back. So thank you.
I love that. Yep, God's got you, bro. I love that. Jesus, Jesus. Oh my gosh. Dove, please go ahead. You are muted.
What Michaela just said is probably what it is that I was about to say, the same thing. Basically, with regard to what Karen said, as soon as you let anything outside of you take away your peace, you got to remember you threw away the four obstacles to peace, which I was listening to Ken Wapnick this morning. He said there's chapter 19, section 4, the four obstacles to peace. The first one is I really threw away the peace. I don't really care about peace. I want to get a good deal or something like that. So in truth, no one can take away your peace. You are the peace of God. And he did a whole workshop on I want the peace of God. And of course, he starts off with lesson 185 and says, it starts off by saying, to say these words is nothing, but to mean it is everything. To mean it is I am the peace of God. Nothing in this world could take away the peace of God unless exactly as Michaela says, you identify with the body. Now, if you identify with the body, you do have that is level confusion, exactly what it actually says. Going back to what Iris said earlier, and that's when I originally raised my hand. You're so right, Iris. Lesson 47: God is the strength in which I trust. And the very next lesson, lesson 48, is how you ended it up. There is nothing to fear. This is a fact, but it's not a fact if you identify with your body. It's not a fact because if you identify with the body, you really can't trust anything or anyone because you can be hurt. But if you use the word, instead of using the word God, you use the word love, and that goes back to what we were saying here earlier. Love includes all. There's no fear in love. Love doesn't have to control anything because it is one with all. That's what unconditional love is. Of course, the special love, well, from a body, and I got to find someone who I can trust and feel safe with. You got to smile and laugh because you know the rest of the story. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Dove. And yeah, you do got to smile and laugh. Because we know the ending, and it's happy.
Yeah.
No matter what we think is going on here. All right. So So let's take a look then at paragraph 2. And who would like to read paragraph 2?
If no one else reads it, I'll take it.
Okie dokie. Apparently you're the one.
I mean, okay, all right. I got to make it larger. I'm on my phone. Okay, I do not foster level confusion, but you must choose to correct it. You would not excuse insane behavior on your part by saying you could not help it.
That's not true. I do it all the time. I can't help myself.
Yeah, I think he has tongue in cheek on this entire thing. I mean, why should you condone insane thinking? There is a confusion here that you would do well to look at clearly. You know, the guy that introduced me to the Course in Miracles way back many years ago, he had an expression: "Clarity is power." The reason that we're confused, we have very, we're into complexity. Exactly what he used in the last paragraph. So clarity is your mind is clear. It's not encumbered with all the crap that you learned in the world. And that's why the course says you have to look at everything you've ever valued and question it, because most of it is I'll use the word junk. All right, there's a confusion here that you would do well to look at clearly. You may believe that you are responsible for what you do, but not for what you think. The truth is that you're responsible for what you think, because it's only at this level that you can exercise choice. What you do comes from what you think. You cannot separate yourself from the truth by giving autonomy to behavior. This is controlled by me automatically as soon as you place what you think under my guidance. Whenever you are afraid, it's a sure sign that you have allowed your mind to miscreate and have not allowed me to guide it. Yeah. I think it gets back to that very famous line, which I repeat 1,000 times here. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? Choose one. Sorry, Charlie, you can't have both. So the choosing one means, I really don't know what anything is for. And I don't care. I guess we're listening to Anthony Hopkins, and his bottom line is, I don't know what anything is for. And Socrates, the wisest man, 2,000 years. I don't know what anything is for. I don't know anything. It's exactly as Lynn says. It's a Sergeant Schultz way of looking. I know nothing. If you know nothing, your mind is clear. How's that? If you know nothing, your mind is clear, because your thoughts are not your thoughts; they're the ego's thoughts. That's the complexity. Ego is always trying to understand, analyze, be right, judge. That's what we use for clarity, right? You got to laugh. Back over to you.
You do have to laugh, and I swear this whole paragraph is making me laugh. But Iris, please go ahead, and then Rafi, and then Karen. Go ahead, Iris.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Dove. I just wanted to share something that I was listening to, which is kind of like related. That like I was listening to this just a little bit of this, a couple of different audiobooks from Brian Weiss, the guy from the past life stuff, the past life regression. And it's very interesting because the thing that is very interesting is that, the way that we say that we are spirit, we are spirit, we are not the body, we are spirit. or soul, whatever word we want to use. And like the bit about like all things are lessons God would have me learn. And like sometimes in his book, he's sharing that these are lessons that are coming not only from this life that we are living, but they could also be lessons from other lives that we may have had. And like, it's really very interesting. And I'm very open to this idea of like loads of other lives. I find it really believable. I really do believe something like that could happen. And it's like saying that, like, even take for example, if I lost like a, a best friend, or something really terrible happened, like somebody, quote, died, that I really love, I can't lose that ever. I can't lose that. And like in the world, there's this idea of loss that we can lose. We have a loss, a deep loss, and we can't lose that, because that soul is going to come back again, and we are going to come back again in a various different lifetimes. And it's like this idea of the world is round. It reminds me of like the saying that the world is round, everything always comes back round. And it's impossible to lose anything, because the world isn't square. And like, we're not gonna like just jump off a cliff and that's it, that's the end of it, like when but it's round. And that really helps a lot, like with this idea of what could you not accept if you but knew that all things, events, circumstances are gently planned for your good. And this idea that everything is always good, we just don't see it. Like, we don't see it because uh, we forgot. Somehow we forgot. And but like, it's just such a lovely idea. It's such a lovely idea. Like, it really is so helpful, that there is really nothing to fear, including like the loss of the body. There is nothing to fear, because we are not the body. And we know this, at least from the fact that we are aware of the body, and we are aware of the person, the feelings that we can let go. And it's a really helpful idea, and I just wanted to share that. And I'll hand back to Lynn.
Thank you for that, Iris. I love that. You know, on Sundays, Zeta Schmidt and I are reading Brian Weiss's books. So she reads, and then we talk about the different characters in the lives, and you know, what does it mean, the plan. You know, we talk about that every Sunday at let's see. It's probably, well, it's not too late for you probably, because we're on, let's see, if I look at the right calendar here, I'll tell you. So we are on at 1 p.m. Eastern, which is the same time we do the Course in Miracles Children's here. So it's not that long difference. So at 1 p.m. Eastern, Zeta Schmidt and I are reading it. And we don't do it on YouTube, but we do it in Zoom. So if you wanted to join us, we would be really thrilled to have you, and anyone else who wanted to join us on Zoom as well. But the idea that you know, we're a eternal being who is accessing many lives, accessing, you know, maybe in the serial lives, you know, we don't even really know. But you know, the Course does talk about it, that you know, that we have had other lives and experiences. And of course, Bruce and I are reading that book about Helen, where she's having all kind of memories of past lives. So her and Bill and them together and doing different things. And if you read Gary Renard's books, they go through that a lot as well. So I think it's only good as useful as it is. So if it's useful in your learning, then absolutely, there's nothing wrong with looking at it. So thank you for bringing that up. And yeah, uh, we're only here for this one purpose, and that is to complete the plan. So that's why when we're afraid of the plan or run away from the plan or try to do something other than what we're given the opportunity to do, we become upset and nervous and afraid. Anyway, Karen, please go ahead.
Oh yeah, thank you, Iris. I'm very much into that as well. And I read Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss, like in the early 80s, I think, or late 80s. I forget, but it was sometime, a long, long time ago. I was fascinated then, and I'm fascinated now. So thank you. And I do believe that the trials are but lessons comes in with that for me too, because we're going to keep coming back until we learn the lessons we came to learn. That is my belief. But what I love about this paragraph, the main part of it that I like is that when he says, you may believe that you are responsible for what you do, but not for what you think. The truth is that you are responsible for what you think, because it is only at this level you can exercise choice. And this is the whole purpose of the course, to recognize that we have this power, to recognize the power of our thinking, and that the power of decision is our one remaining freedom here. So, I mean, this course has so much about it. I could go on and on with quotes, and I'm not going to. It's just that is the whole point. And that is what I love about this course, that has taught me to bring the awareness back to my mind, to bring that upset back to my mind and recognize truthfully, because I love lesson 5 and lesson 34. Ken Wapnick introduced me to that. I mean, it works. I am never upset for the reason I think. I could see peace instead of this. These outside conditions are not causing my upset. And this is a daily, every single day practice. And I just love it. And what's the other thing I wanted to say? The trials are about lessons. Yeah, the trials are about lessons. I love what you said about death and the loss of the body, and that there's nothing to fear, because that's something I've been learning to trust as well. My husband committed suicide, and I believe that this was, I didn't believe it then. Of course, I didn't believe it then at all, because I had a lot of fear around it. But I believe it now, that this was just his path, and he was ready to leave this world and go into another realm, and when we're ready to go into another realm, we are going to leave this world. We make that conscious choice. He says that is our decision too. So I just love that. And I don't have as much fear around death either. And I still have a little bit, because I do sometimes feel, I don't want to lose that physical presence of that person still. I still have that. That's one thing I'm working on, but I have a lot less fear. So thank you for bringing that up, Iris. That's all.
Thank you, Karen. And yeah, just this idea of death, which is the central plan of the ego, it makes you, it's like, this is the end and it's permanent. But, we're eternal. So, what happens on this, ratty little planet doesn't really have much to do or anything to do with the reality, except for the lessons. So yeah, your husband taught you lessons, and you're still learning lessons from that. We continue to learn lessons from that. And that may be the thing that tips you over the edge to, where you have to learn no more lessons. But, we don't, we don't know. But, this talk that this paragraph is saying about you think that these and how often do we just say I was just thinking this is in my thoughts, these are not my thoughts. Jesus tells us very clearly, the thoughts you're thinking are not your thoughts. They're not the thoughts of God. So if you think that it's my thought and I'm responsible for it, that, somehow it belongs to me, then you are going to be confused. So letting go of that is essential, absolutely essential. Rafi, please go ahead. And I'm going to take a real short little break here. So you continue talking, and do you want me to? I won't move the paragraph. I'll be back before, and if not, then reread the paragraph. Go ahead, Rafi.
Yeah, I'm pretty much echoing what has just been said about taking responsibility for thoughts. Thoughts pop up. All of a sudden, you're walking along and saying, "Why would the guy make a left turn there? Why? Who? Why did she decide to put that on?" And where'd that thought come from? And as soon as you question the thought, it doesn't run you. That's taking responsibility for the thought. The thoughts come spontaneously, but if you take responsibility for it by standing back and looking at it and saying, okay, where, or I stand back and take a look at it and say, okay, now I got two ways I can handle this. One, I can go use inquiry. To whom did that thought come? Well, it came to me. Well, what am I? And as soon as that happens, the mind gets quiet. Or the other thing is, what is that thought for? I mean, it's meaningless. Does it do anything? Does it affect anything? And as soon as that you take responsibility for the thoughts, you are no longer the victim of them. And that victimization is, of course, ego, and then you're in charge, and the ego, and then there's no victimization anymore. And that's an essential thing because that keeps you quiet, that keeps you in charge. You're the boss, not the ego mind concept that I'm a body and I'm a victim and I got to, and the thoughts can't run you. Otherwise, if you don't become aware of them, if you're not conscious of them, if you're not the witness of them, then you become the victim of them. And that's how ego perpetuates itself. And the other stuff about, I don't know what anything is for. In the release technique, we have two other ways of questioning that, or three really. Can I let go of wanting to figure this out? Or can I let go of wanting to know anything about this at all right now? And the other thing is, can I let go of being so smart and allow it to be other than I think it is? All of those things are saying the same thing. I don't know what this is for. And as soon as you do that, then there's all that mind activity that would have come with it slows down and stops. And you're back in the peace that is our truth.
Thank you very much, Rafi. Yes, total agreement on that. Karen, go ahead.
I must have forgotten to put my hand down. I didn't mean to have it up. Sorry.
Okay. I'll share a little. I posted that picture here earlier, and I just posted it again in the chat, and I see it again in much larger because before I was on my phone, now I'm on my desktop, and I noticed that it comes from the psychotherapy pamphlet. So that wasn't something that somebody just happened to post on Facebook. It was taken directly from Course in Miracles psychotherapy pamphlet, which of course we do every Thursday night here. So I took a look at it. I'm going to read it again. And this is what it says. It's under section 5 called The Process of Healing. It says, while truth is simple, it must still be taught to those who have already lost their way in endless mazes of complexity. This is the great illusion. In its wake comes the inevitable belief that to be safe, one must control the unknown. Now, I looked in the directory for the psychotherapy pamphlet, and the next sentence I'm going to include here, which tells us why we're not aware. It says, this strange belief relies on certain steps which never reach to consciousness. We're not even conscious that we're doing this. We're just pushing things away. blindly. It's like we're a bull in a china shop trying to, protect itself. And because I live in fear, fear is where there's fear, love cannot coexist. Either you're being your true self, which is the love of God, which is all included equally, or you are in fear that I'm all alone. I latch onto something, somebody, or whatever to keep myself safe. And that also reminds me, I mentioned this a lot of times. Zen Master Suzuki says, when your thoughts go through your mind, just think of it as they enter the front door, they pass through your mind, and they exit the back door. Just don't serve them tea, which is, in other words, don't entertain your thoughts. And that's what we all do. We oh my God, that's a great thought, It's not even our thought. And that goes along with, I forgot what lesson is. My mind holds only the thoughts I think with God. My mind holds only the thoughts I think with God. And in the introduction to psychotherapy, it actually says, psychotherapy is the only form of therapy there is, since only the mind can be sick, only the mind can be healed, only the mind is in need of healing. And I know that you all know that. Just reiterating what this is saying here to us, the separation and the atonement. And if you see your brother as yourself, you are giving him the gift of atonement. That's what accepting the atonement is. It's to see that your brother never did what it is that you think he did. Same as you never did what you think you did. You got to laugh. That's it. I don't know if Lynn,
I'm back.
are
Yeah,
you back
thank
in?
you. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Wow.
Okay.
And I mean, honestly, you know, this is the thing that was, I think, the most opening, revealing for me was when I realized that these are not even my own thoughts. As Rafi was saying when I was leaving the room, I, the thought just comes into your mind. That doesn't mean it's your thought. And this is where people are so trapped in the world, but it's my thought. um no, it's not. It's just a thought that's being offered to you. If you start looking for, what is the genesis of these thoughts, where does these ideas come from? And you'll see that your ideas are coming from either your conditioning or your uh body fears. There's so many things that you see it on TV, you see it in movies. This is how people are supposed to behave. This person's not behaving that way. Oh, it's wrong. And my thoughts go crazy because they're the thoughts that are given to me to think, to judge the world around me. I don't have an original thought. That is the thing. There is not an original thought in this universe, in this creation. This dream illusion. There is not one original thought because all the thoughts were thought at the same instant. Even the thought that I'm saying right now all came at the tiny mad idea. We're just living it out. So instead of thinking, I think this and my thoughts are this, they're not your thoughts. You may be given inspiration that are the thoughts of God, but they don't come from any conclusion that you make based on your understanding of the world. So, they're just thoughts that are given to you by the ego to make up a story, explain things. And that's why this is, I mean, when I read this paragraph, I realize Jesus is just laughing and laughing uh, about, how silly we are to believe these thoughts and believe these behaviors as being rational. Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, Lynn, the last thing the ego wants to hear is what you just said. That is the very last thing the ego, that's hard for the ego to really comprehend and take in that I know these are not my own thoughts. And this is really letting go. This is part of the letting go and part of the releasing. And that takes a lot of practice and a lot of, you know, just, I don't even know what the word I want to say is, but what you said, just my ego still sometimes has a problem with it. And that's what I need to look at. But I still go back to this. I mean, this really is, the whole purpose of the course, like Dove said, that this course is about healing the mind. We're here to heal the mind. And I'm just reminded now of the golden rule. The golden rule is for appropriate behavior, but it says that you can't behave appropriately unless you perceive correctly. So every thought we have, when it comes to, for me, if it has anything to do with separation or anything to do with judgment, which is separation, anything to do with anything but seeing my brother as the same and seeing the same interests, then I'm in my wrong mind. And it's just recognizing that, just noticing that, and noticing the closer I get and the more I get to noticing, the more that the happier I am, the happier I am. So it's just really noticing. And I don't think I can be reminded enough that this is a course about mind training and about healing the mind. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Karen. Yes, absolutely. Dove, please go ahead.
Yeah, as Karen was speaking, it kind of reminds me that, this is like AI. Right now, everybody's predicting some dire consequences could happen to mankind if, as a matter of fact, we develop AI and, somehow it doesn't really care about anything. So, the ego is the original AI. And as Amy Torres, one of the great teachers here, says, the only purpose of the world, the only purpose of the ego is to mess up our minds. So the original AI was actually a danger to whoever invented it, which you can call the Son of God, came up with this tiny mad idea and forgot to laugh. I mean, we invented AI. That's the ego.
Exactly. We are the AI. That's what's so funny. We are the AI. And if anybody ever watched that series on HBO of Westworld, and I highly encourage it. I've had people watch it that are like, Lynn, I don't know why you're telling me to watch this because it's all this violence and everything. It's a story about the evolution of AI. It's a story about that we built a body and we built a world, and then the body, the characters in the AI characters in the world begin to become self-aware, and it's like a yeah, I mean, honest to God, if you watch it, you like, it's just so full of just these deep metaphors and discussions about who we think we are and what we think we are, and the way the world is. It really is really brilliant. But that's where I really did see that we are the AI. These bodies, this world is an artificial world, artificial intelligence. That's all it is. And we're the programmer over here, building and making and putting together all the stories and the storylines, because it's all about story. But we're not the characters, and the characters themselves, when they recognize that they're just a character in a game, uh they become irate, like, no way. And that's us. We have to shift that. Dove, did you want to say something else?
Yeah, I wanted to say one other thing. Yeah, the only thing that we can do literally is exactly what Jesus says in chapter 18, section 7. I need do nothing. If you do anything, it's our ego AI reacting, react to and just brings up more AI. I need do nothing, he says, will save you a century, 100 years of contemplating and meditating and doing anything. Because the moment you're doing something, you are reacting to AI.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that just produces more AI.
Oh, I love it. Anybody else have anything that they'd like to share?
And there's one other thing.
Go ahead.
I realized a long time ago, you cannot outthink the ego. You see, there was a place where you come and you say, well, I can outthink the ego. No, the part of you that says you can outthink the ego is the ego.
Oh my God, Dove, exactly. And that's exactly what this paragraph is saying. You just well, it is, and that's all I can think when I'm reading this is that Jesus is just laughing and saying, you are caught up in a complete um mental masturbation here
That's
in
right.
this world. I love it. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, it looks like our time is about up. I'm going to go ahead and stop this so I can get, unless somebody else has something they'd like to share before we go to our children's, let's see. Oh, no. Oh, no. We still have Devin. Is Devin here? Am I talking to myself? No, I don't see Devin. Devin's usually,
Thank you so much, dear. Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, Devin is usually here to do a meditation for us, but I don't see Devin here in the room. So I probably have a message from him somewhere. God only knows where. As we don't know any of these things. Oh, okay. I do have a message. Sorry, I found myself busy today. Now I'm going to say, no problem. The smiley face. Okay, so no Devin, no meditation. So we could keep going, or
Yeah, well, you turned
oop, 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 oop.
80. Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Get Gabor Mate speaking loudly. Because we could look at something else, or we could just close it out and or do the children's edition early. We could do that. Oddsy is here. So I am going to close this out from YouTube. Stop the share. Stop the YouTube.